California is legendary for million-dollar shoeboxes and bidding wars that leave you questioning your entire life. But what if I told you there are 25 real towns where you can snag a house for less than some people owe on their car loan? These aren't abandoned shells or clickbait typos. From Lassen's $70,000 mountain cabins to deserts near the Salton Sea with homes for $80,000, the numbers are real, and the story behind them is wild. While the world chases Bay Area dreams, forgotten corners of California offer surreal bargains that seem almost suspicious. Why are these homes so cheap, and could you actually live there? Let's pull back the curtain, because the reasons are stranger than you think. Timber towns, farm hubs, and prison communities. These are the places where California's bargain home prices aren't a fluke. They're fallout. In the 1990s, sawmills and logging outfits in Northern California kept thousands of families anchored in places like Lassen, Siskiyou, and Trinity counties. Back then, the timber workforce topped 22,000 statewide. Fast forward to 2022, and that number has crashed to just over 5,000. In Lassen alone, more than 80% of wood products jobs have vanished since the 90s. Picture Susanville. The local mill shut down in 2003, erasing around 150 jobs overnight. That story repeats across the region. Tehama's lumber workforce shrank from 700 to under 150. Shasta's from 900 to barely 180. Farming didn't escape the axe either. Mechanization and corporate mergers swept through the Central Valley and beyond, squeezing out small farm jobs and leaving only the biggest operations standing. Kings and Tulare counties saw farm operations drop by the hundreds, with labor demand falling as machines took over. Glenn County's almond boom softened the blow, but even there, farm jobs fell from over 2,000 in the mid-90s to about 1,500 today. In Lake County, vineyards and cannabis replaced pears and prunes, but the work is mostly seasonal, and the total number of jobs is still down. Then there's the prison economy. Towns like Susanville in Lassen County were built on correctional paychecks. The California Correctional Center once supported over 1,000 jobs, until the state announced its closure in 2021. That single decision sent ripples through the entire county, with population dropping more than 10% and home prices tumbling as state jobs disappeared. Kings and Imperial counties still lean on their prisons, but even there, automation and hiring freezes have chipped away at payrolls. The bottom line, when jobs disappear, so do the reasons to stay. Young people graduate and leave, families downsize, and homes pile up with no buyers in sight. The result? Streets of empty houses, for sale signs that hang around longer than the postman, and prices that look like a typo if you're used to Bay Area sticker shock. This isn't just about cheap houses. It's about what happens to a town when its main reason for existing quietly packs up and leaves. First stop, Lassen County, where the houses are cheap, the winters are long, and the main local celebrity is a state prison. Susanville sits at the heart of it all, tucked between pine forests and a lot of empty highway. Here, you can pick up a 3-bedroom house for $120,000, and if you're feeling fancy, stretch to $150,000. For something with a new roof and a backyard big enough to host a family of deer. The catch? The town's biggest employer used to be the California Correctional Center. When the state announced the prison's closure in 2021, home prices dropped faster than you can say, escape plan, with some listings now showing up for less than a used Tesla. Westwood is Susanville's even smaller cousin, a former logging outpost where the median price hovers around $140,000. The old sawmill is long gone, but you still get that classic mountain town vibe, just with more boarded up storefronts and fewer latte options. Bieber and Her Long? If you've never heard of them, you're not alone. In Bieber, you can buy a house for under $100,000, but you might have to explain to your friends that, yes, it's a real place and not a pop star's vacation home. Herlong's listings sometimes dip into the $70,000 range, which is less than most people's student loans. The main downside: your new neighbors might be jackrabbits or the occasional UFO-chasing conspiracy theorist. Slide over to Tehama County and you'll find Corning, the self-proclaimed olive capital of the world. Houses here? $130,000 gets you a yard big enough for your own flock of turkeys. No, really, wild turkeys are basically the local HOA. The town smells like olive oil half the year, and if you're into small town parades and knowing the name of your mail carrier, this place delivers. Just don't expect a booming job market. Most of the action is in farming, and even that's consolidated into a handful of big outfits. These aren't ghost towns, but they do have that lost in time feeling. Streets are quiet, houses sit for months, and the biggest drama is whether someone's goat got loose again. But if you want a place where the sticker price feels like a typo, Lassen and Tehama are just the opening act. The deals get even weirder from here. Next up, Lake County, where you can own a lakeside cabin for less than a year's rent on a San Francisco studio. Clear Lake is the crown jewel here. If by crown jewel you mean a place where the median home price barely scrapes $140,000, that's not a typo. There are real, actual houses with docks and lake views that go for less than a used Honda. The catch: some of these homes have water mains older than your grandma's wedding ring, and after the Valley Fire tore through in 2015, a lot of properties sat vacant for years. Insurance premiums? Let's just say, in some zip codes, they're almost as high as the mortgage. But for those who stick around, you get Tahoe vibes on a scratch and dent budget, plus the possibility your neighbor's side hustle involves both wine and weed. Clear Lake Oaks, Lucerne, Nice, and Lower Lake round out the lineup, all clustered around the water, and all with prices that make you wonder if someone's pranking you. Lucerne's median sale price hovers just under $150,000. You'll find fixer-uppers that dip below six figures, though you might need to bring your own tool belt and a strong sense of humor. The lakeside scene is a weird mix. Retirees fishing at sunrise, remote workers zooming from converted RVs, and the occasional Airbnb investor hoping the next big trend is rustic chic with a side of wildfire risk. But here's what really sets Lake County apart. The rental vacancy rate is the highest in the state, even with a steady stream of out-of-town buyers. Since 2020, Clear Lake saw a 60% jump in homes bought by LLCs. Translation: more investors, more Airbnbs, and a little less small-town gossip. Locals joke that if you see a new face at the grocery store, odds are they're either an investor or someone who just lost their insurance renewal letter. Swing over to Glenn County, and the scenery flips from lakes to endless orchards. Willows is the almond capital. Yes, you'll finally see what almonds look like before they become milk. Home prices? Most sit under $170,000, and the agricultural town vibe is strong. It's quiet, the schools are small, and the nightlife is basically you, a bag of pistachios, and maybe a Friday night bingo game. The roads and water pipes have been around since the Eisenhower era, so don't expect a lot of shiny new infrastructure. Still, if you want a place where the biggest local scandal is whose tractor blocked Main Street, Glenn County's got you covered. So, lakes or orchards, take your pick. Either way, you're looking at real California homes for less than the cost of a new Tesla. But don't get too comfortable. The next stretch of towns comes with a side of Central Valley heat and a whole lot more agricultural grit. Central Valley real estate comes with a warning label. Handle with oven mitts. Kings and Tulare counties are where you find houses for less than a year's worth of LA rent, if you're willing to trade ocean breezes for a blast furnace. In Corcoran, you can score a 3-bedroom for about $150,000. That's not a typo. That's less than the average down payment in Orange County. Early Martin Lindsay? Listings regularly pop up in the $130,000 range, and Woodville sometimes dips below $120,000. The catch is, you're moving to the Raisin Belt, where summer means 115 degrees in the shade, and the only thing moving slower than the real estate market is the tractor blocking Main Street. This is farm country, where the world's biggest raisins aren't just a punchline. They're a local point of pride. The Hanford outskirts are dotted with old bungalows and dusty ranch houses, often priced under $170,000. You'll get more square footage than you ever dreamed, plus a view of endless fields and maybe a grain silo or two. But don't expect a Starbucks on every corner. The real morning rush hour is a convoy of combines, and your new neighbors are more likely to offer you a box of tomatoes than a Wi-Fi password. The trade-off for bargain prices? Extreme heat waves and a drought that's always one bad winter away from turning your lawn into a dust bowl. Water restrictions are a fact of life, and every summer, the local news runs a countdown to the next heat record. On the upside, you'll never have to shovel snow. On the downside, you might have to explain to your relatives why you moved somewhere that makes Death Valley look like a spa retreat. Jobs here revolve around agriculture and prisons, giant dairies, nut processors, and correctional facilities. Automation has thinned out farm labor, so work is either seasonal or tied to the big employers still standing. The social scene? Think Friday night football, the occasional county fair, and maybe a gas station taqueria that's open past 8 p.m. But if you're tired of LA gridlock, you can swap traffic jams for the world's slowest parade. A line of tractors rolling through town, hauling the raisin harvest straight past your new front porch. Welcome to the wild cards, the towns that make you ask, is this still California? Or did I take a wrong turn into a survival reality show? First up, Imperial County. This is where the desert does its best oven impersonation, and the Salton Sea sits like a science experiment gone sideways. Nyland, with a population barely in the 4 digits, offers homes for $85,000. That's less than some folks pay for a new pickup, and you get your own actual backyard. The catch? You'll sweat, but at least you'll sweat in your own backyard. Air quality here isn't just a talking point. Imperial County ranks among the worst in California for dust and small particle pollution. On a windy day, your welcome mat might blow into next week. Internet speeds? Let's just say, if you can stream a movie uninterrupted, you're either blessed or living next to the library. Brawley and Holtville keep the bargain train rolling, with homes hovering around $100,000 to $130,000. The local flavor is a blend of migrant farm workers, geothermal plants, and more taco stands than Starbucks. Calipatria has the tallest flagpole in the West, but the real claim to fame is being able to buy a 3-bedroom without mortgaging your future. The trade-off is isolation. Your grocery run might double as a road trip, and the Salton Sea's shrinking shoreline means more dust, more coughs, and the occasional whiff of something you can't quite identify. Head north and the landscape flips from desert to snow-capped peaks. Siskiyou and Trinity counties are where the air gets thin and the Wi-Fi gets even thinner. Weed, California. Yes, it's real. And yes, the jokes write themselves. Houses here hang around the $140,000 mark, and you get a front row seat to Mount Shasta. The town's name draws selfie tourists and stoners alike, but the locals are mostly loggers, artists, and a handful of remote workers who decided Zoom with a view was worth the spotty broadband. Dunsmuir and Etna keep things quirky. One's a railroad town turned artist retreat. The other's so small your dog might run for mayor and win. Over in Shasta County's outskirts, think Anderson and Cottonwood, home prices still sneak in under $180,000. The real estate listings read like an outdoor catalog. Fishing, hiking, and enough forest to lose your cell signal for days. Your neighbors? Eagles, deer, and at least one guy who insists Bigfoot is real and has the plaster cast to prove it. Survivalist types thrive here, but so do creative souls who want a cheap place to build, paint, or just breathe. These are California's extremes. From the sun-baked edges of the Salton Sea to the snow-dusted forests near Oregon, you'll find homes priced like a clearance sale. But every bargain comes with its own set of quirks. Whether you're sweating through August in Kneeland or shoveling snow and weed, one thing's for sure. You won't be fighting anyone for a parking spot at Trader Joe's. Cheap houses in these towns come with a catch, and it's not just the neighbor's rooster as your new alarm clock. Insurance is the first curveball. Wildfire risk has pushed so many homeowners onto the California Fair Plan, the insurer of last resort, that policy counts more than doubled statewide since 2018. In Lake County, Fair Plan enrollments jumped over 45% in just 3 years. That bargain mortgage? Sometimes the insurance premium is nearly as high. In some zip codes, it's not just expensive, it's required because private insurers bailed after the last big fire. Then there's the service desert problem. In places like Imperial or Trinity counties, the nearest hospital can be 50 miles away. Grocery runs turn into mini road trips, and don't even ask about Amazon Prime. High-speed internet? If you can stream a movie without buffering, you're a local legend. Water quality, power outages, and aging pipes add to the list of headaches. So yes, you can grab a 3-bedroom for less than a year's rent in LA. Just know that the real price tag includes fire insurance sticker shock, long drives for basic needs, and the occasional surprise, like a boil water notice taped to your front door. Here's where things get interesting, and maybe a little dicey. The secret's out. Bargain towns aren't just catching the eye of families tired of city chaos. Investors are circling too. In Clear Lake, for example, the number of homes bought by LLCs has shot up more than 60% since 2020. That means more out-of-town buyers snapping up properties, turning some into Airbnbs or holding them for the next price jump. Locals are starting to wonder if the dream of small-town life is about to get a lot more crowded, or just a lot more expensive. So, would you trade your LA rent for a house in a place where your new neighbor might be a real estate fund? Is it worth rolling the dice on a town with dirt cheap prices, but a future that's suddenly up for grabs? Drop the name of the cheapest house you've ever seen in the comments. Who knows? Maybe your next address is already on someone else's spreadsheet. In the year 2025, the median home price in Lassen County stands at $226,501, while towns like Kneeland still list homes for as little as $85,000. This documentary has shown that California's real estate story isn't just about million-dollar listings in coastal cities. There are 25 towns where the price of a house can rival a used car. The evidence points to decades of industry decline, population loss, and surging insurance costs as the main drivers behind these low prices. Yet, questions remain. How long will these bargains last as investors enter the market? And can these communities overcome the risks of fire, drought, and shrinking services? What is clear, according to state records and current MLS listings, is that the American dream of homeownership persists here, but it comes with real trade-offs. For now, these towns stand as proof that California's extremes are not just economic, they're geographic, social, and deeply personal.